West Coast has had some tough losses. Is there anyone particularly that stands out to you as kind of the hardest one of those to swallow?
Nipsey and Nate Dogg. It just felt like they had so much to do. Same with Pac as well. I feel like he didn't even get a chance to finish. He died at 25. All of us that just flew back from New York. Suge, Pac, myself. They went to Vegas. I went to Warren G's because we had like a minor misunderstanding because that was at the time where I had spoke in New York about not having issues with Puffy and Biggie. That rubbed Pac the wrong way. The next day, we getting blown up on the pages, 9111111, and it's Suge, and he telling us that him and Pac got shot and get on out to Vegas. When I walked in, I could just feel like he wasn't even there. And I fainted. Then his mother got me up and walked me in the bathroom and had a conversation with me about being strong. So she gave us a moment for me to say some things to him as far as how much I love him, but I knew that that was gonna be my last time speaking with him. Damn. He was so sarcastic. Pac didn't give a if he loved you, he loved you. If he hated you, he hated you. Wasn't no in between, wasn't no cut. And he loved to love people. So he wasn't just a natural, aggressive, mad at you kind of person. He naturally loved people. What happened was, Nas ain't got a lot of people with him, but he got a lot of people with him, if you know what I mean. And I'm seeing him and I'm knowing, because I'm a gangbang. I'm seeing with their hands on their guns. I step away from him. Him and Nas right here, boom. Nas like, what's up, Pac? Man, I love your music, I'm a fan. That's what Pac say. If you a fan, I dissed you, Jay-Z, Biggie, he named off a gang of them. I dissed all you on the song. And if you a fan and you ain't got no beef, don't say nothing. And Nas said, I love you. I never diss you. And he shook his hand and he hugged him. And then when he walked off, Pac said, yeah, I punked that. In my mind, I was like, nah, he let us slide.
Tupac Shakur's case has always been one that's left people's heads scratching trying to figure out as to who exactly took the life of the young talented artist. Well, after almost 30 years, Tupac's case has finally been solved, but instead of relieving the people, it's left most of us in more confusion, since the person behind the trigger has always been right in front of us the whole time. When word spread that Tupac's life was brutally cut short in Las Vegas due to a drive-by shooting, it sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community, plunging fans into deep despair. His death quickly marked him as one of the most impactful people in the hip-hop world. He didn't only inspire some of the most notable artists of this era, but some affirm he's the reason they chose to pursue music at all. Tupac's case was a puzzling one, leaving everyone scratching their heads as the mystery of the person behind the trigger left more questions than answers. When a perpetrator couldn't be identified, suspicion naturally fell on the man in the driver's seat, Suge Knight. At that point, it seemed logical to blame him as rumors began circulating that Tupac wanted to leave Death Row. This angered Knight, the owner of Death Row Records, but when Suge Knight was questioned, he responded that Tupac would have cussed you out.
There was a report earlier this week in the New York Post that Tupac was looking to leave Death Row Records. Is that true?
You should answer that. You don't take a person like Tupac who, if you listen to every song on All Eyes on Me, every song on Machiavelli, every time he do an interview, what's the first thing he say? Death Row. Tupac loved Death Row. Tupac loved me, I loved him. I mean, Tupac took Death Row to the next level. I mean, we worked hard and we laid the foundation down, and Snoop took the baton, he ran with it, and he did a great job with it. When Tupac got the baton, not only did he win the race, he finished so fast that he was able to sit back and drink some Thug Passion and come up with another plan. I mean, if you'd asked Tupac that question, that was he planning on leaving Death Row, he definitely would have cussed you out.
Now, decades later, it appears that Knight may have been honest all along. New evidence has come to light connecting Dwayne Keefe, aka Keefe D, to Tupac's murder. Keefe D is also known for being a member of the Southside Compton Crips and for his numerous sit-downs with DJ Vlad. What we didn't realize was that these interviews posted by DJ Vlad contained the truth about the entire situation, which would eventually settle the public's curiosity. In these conversations, Keefe D claimed that Sean Diddy Combs ordered the hit, allegedly stating, "Man, I want to get rid of them dudes," referring to Tupac and Suge Knight. In part 14 of DJ Vlad's interviews, things get a bit odd because Keefe D tries not to implicate himself. He also appeared somewhat anxious, narrating his story as if he'd been caught in the act.
I'm not gonna go into details on that one. Keep it streets on me. I ain't gonna go into detail on that.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read from the book.
Well,
so
let them buy the book then.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna read this passage. The shit was on. Tupac made an erratic move and began to reach down beneath his seat. It was the first and only time in my life that I could relate to the police command, keep your hands where I could see them. Instead, Pac pulled out a strap, and that's when the fireworks started. One of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting back. The first shot skinned Suge in the head, and I thought that motherfucker was dead. I had heard some stories, supposedly that Suge used Tupac as a shield when the bullets started flying, but that's some bullshit. Suge was already wounded, and he was the one that got touched. As the rounds continued flying, I ducked down so I wouldn't get hit.
Basically, yeah.
What's wild is this interview was released 4 years ago. Not only did he disclose this information to the public years before his arrest, but he also authored a book detailing everything from his perspective with keen detail. When the video went live, fans were livid because this interview also included interrogation audio of when Keefe was the top suspect but was never detained. This, even after he plainly admitted to the police that he was one of the only people in the white Cadillac.
Lane starts blasting. You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looked at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
In
of
the back seat or something.
Yeah. What do you see happening inside of their
Jumping
car?
in. I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando shot across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window, popped.
Who was it?
They was drove on my side. I was popped them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Right.
This situation alone should have been the conclusive evidence that resolved the 27-year-old mystery case. However, as things unfolded, investigators seemed to ignore vital opportunities when it came time to question Keefe D. A lingering question persists. Does his confession actually align with previous assumptions about that tragic night? This investigative lapse has led numerous people to formulate a belief that the entire incident was merely a smokescreen, a cover-up enabling the real perpetrator to escape justice. One fan voiced, Keefe D is trying to cover for Suge Knight because he knows something was up. He stuck to that alibi for years. Sure, you can get away with murder, but eventually it's gonna come back around. I know someone serving 40 years for a single crime but got away with so many more. Meanwhile, another commented, was Keefe D genuinely involved? But why would he throw his own nephew under the bus? Was it Knight? Was it Diddy? Did the police facilitate a cover-up? Absolutely. There's been a whirlwind of mixed emotions from all the fans. Whether or not Keefe D is truly the reason for Tupac's demise is ultimately up to your judgment. This could potentially be a cover-up to shift the focus away from Knight and keep his legacy free from controversy, or conversely, just a desperate attempt from the police to finally close this case once and for all. If you thought all the Tupac theories were just in the rap world, Orlando Brown might make you think twice. In a chat with Cam Capone News, he threw out a wild idea. Keefe D and Tupac Shakur are the same person. Yes, you heard that correctly. He suggested that you can't arrest Keefe D because he's really Tupac, who many believe is dead. This idea had the internet doing a double take. As the video went viral, people reacted with disbelief, laughter, and confusion. One user, Listen2Tish, made a funny comment. Cracked the case all right. Orlando thinks that the police aren't going to arrest Tupac because they'd basically be arresting Keefe D in Tupac's body. He even talked about the belief that Tupac is still alive, mentioning things like Tupac's hologram shows. After the interview, many people were left wondering if Orlando was just being his usual unusual self, or if he meant something more. In the midst of all this, Reggie Wright Jr., who used to be head of security for Death Row Records, gave his thoughts, talking about the new police activity around Tupac's still unsolved murder. He said, "I bet Keefe D has been having the runs for the last 2 weeks," hinting that Keefe D might be feeling nervous. Before he got arrested recently, Keefe D didn't hold back in his words. In an earlier chat with The Art of Dialogue, he answered Reggie saying, "Not that I know of," when asked if he'd be arrested soon. He also expressed his annoyance with Reggie, saying, "I said I wasn't gonna ever bring his name up again. He did that crappy phone call, like a tap line or something. This is recorded, and he didn't let me hear the thing. I should sue him." Keefe's dislike for Reggie was clear, even making a crude joke at one point. "He acts like he wants to give me some head or something. I don't know what the heck is wrong with him. He needs to leave me the heck alone." However, Keefe D's words from a 2021 interview cast a dark shadow. Before getting arrested, he shared, "We just pulled up to the stoplight. They were making a right. There were about 17 cars. We just pulled up in the gutter lane and saw them. And that first shot hit Big Boy Suge Knight in the head. The next ones hit Tupac." His open sharing of that night provided a chillingly detailed view of the events that led to Tupac's death. It's been over 25 years since Tupac Shakur was lost in a tragic drive-by shooting. This event has stayed one of hip-hop's biggest unsolved mysteries. theories, but recent happenings have sparked new interest and speculation. Here's where Dwayne Keith Davis, also known as Keefe D, a self-confessed gang member with a hard-to-ignore story, comes in. This isn't the first time he's been linked with Tupac's murder. In past talks, and even in his book, Keefe D has said he was in the white Cadillac that pulled up to Tupac's car on that heartbreaking night in Las Vegas in 1996. As Tupac left a Mike Tyson and Bruce Seldon fight, he was shot 4 times and died less than a week later. Breaking news told that a grand jury in Clark County charged Keefe D with 1 count of murder with the use of a deadly weapon, along with a gang enhancement. As he stays in custody without bail, many wonder if justice for Tupac is finally in sight. Keefe D's past shares about that night have been both helpful and harmful for him. His own admissions, whether in his book Compton Street Legend or various interviews, showed a clear picture of gang conflicts that boiled over on the night of Tupac's murder. According to Keefe D, the beating of his nephew Orlando Anderson by Tupac and his crew at the MGM Grand Hotel gave the ultimate green light for payback. Mark DiGiacomo, a top deputy district attorney in Clark County, provided more details in court, saying that Keefe D was the on-ground, on-site commander who ordered the death of Tupac Shakur. DiGiacomo also pointed out that a lot about what happened that night was known as early as 1996. Still, Keefe D's public confessions, including his 2018 TV appearance, gave the case new life. As he said, "They want to put me in jail for life? That's just something I gotta do." Yet, the shadow of the incident goes beyond just Keefe D. Over the years, many others have been suspected, questioned, and discussed. Theories, books, podcasts, and films have all tried to figure out the tragic deaths of Tupac, and later, the notorious B.I.G. Both incidents have been ingrained into hip-hop lore, but the recent developments with Keefe D might bring the world one step closer to understanding what really happened on the night Tupac was taken from it. Tupac Shakur's death over 25 years ago still deeply impacts the hip-hop world and beyond. Tupac was more than just a rapper. He was a poet, an activist, and a voice for a generation. His albums like Me Against the World and All Eyes on Me continue to be iconic, expressing the complicated and contradicting aspects of life. His death and the death of notorious B.I.G. just months later set off waves of conspiracy theories and criticisms against the police for their supposed lack of effort. Fans and theorists speculated about the roles of East Coast-West Coast rivalries, gang affiliations, and more. But one fact remains solid: both murders have stayed officially unsolved, turning them into lasting urban legends. The investigations into these deaths have had their ups and downs. The Los Angeles Police Department looked into Biggie's death again in the mid-2000s, leading to a new examination of Tupac's killing. Greg Kading, a detective related to the investigation, revealed how investigators got Keefe D to cooperate under a proffer agreement, ensuring that any statements Keefe D made that could incriminate him wouldn't lead to his prosecution. On the night of Tupac's shooting, the mood was tense. He had been at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, enjoying a boxing match. Later, as he headed to Club 662, a venue supported by Death Row Records, he was ambushed. According to Keefe D's account, the attack was payback for an earlier assault on his nephew Orlando Anderson by Tupac and his entourage. The tension between the two coasts and their prominent artists, Tupac and Biggie, was already at boiling point, making the losses even more tragic. Both were killed in drive-by shootings, and the darkness of their unsolved deaths still looms over the music industry. Now, with Keefe D's charges, there's a glimmer of hope that the truth might finally surface. But even then, Tupac and Biggie's legacy remains immortalized. The essence of their spirits lingering in their timeless tracks and the ongoing mysteries of their passings. In the context of these events, the speculations by Orlando Brown might seem like a bizarre footnote, but they also underline how deeply the mysteries of Tupac and Biggie's deaths are rooted in public consciousness, spinning off numerous theories, debates, and speculations that endure to this day. As the case against Keefe D progresses, eyes around the world will be watching, waiting to see if one of hip-hop's greatest mysteries will finally be unraveled, or if the shadows will continue to obscure the full truth. Whether or not the answers come, Tupac Shakur's legacy will persist, echoing in the hearts and speakers of those who continue to find resonance in his work, and the quest for truth, as ever, remains a significant part of his enduring story.